I've had a lot of questions from folks about this fourth jab. Clearly, the numbers are not quite as strong supporting this jab as they have been for the other ones. There are a couple of studies. One of them was just mentioned in the New York Times last night. A couple of studies out of Israel, both of them in the New England Journal. One of them was just a couple of days ago. That's the study here that's saying, yeah, you know what? It did appear to protect, but not for very long. This study is the one we have more details on. It came out about a week ago. It was an open label, non-randomized clinical study. So basically they had folks who were healthcare workers, 1,050 of them. They enrolled to get either the Sheba COVID-19, that was called the cohort. Sheba was where they worked. 120 received the Pfizer vaccine, 120 received the Moderna vaccine. And we're going to go over a couple of details of what they saw. They were administered 4 months after the third dose in a series of Pfizer vaccines. After the fourth dose, both messenger RNA vaccines induced immunoglobulin antibodies, IgG type antibodies, against coronavirus 2 receptor binding domain and increased the neutralizing antibody titers. In fact, it did by quite a lot. It increased that antibody titer by 9 to 10, slightly higher than after the third dose. So that part was optimistic. But you have to remember, there does appear to be a significant difference between what we see in the lab with increasing neutralizing antibody and what actually happens in the body in terms of trained killer T cells and other things. The immune system is very intricate. There are very many ways for our immune system to attack an invading virus, and it's not all about the antibody. There was no significant difference between the two vaccines in terms of this 9 to 10-fold increase in neutralizing antibody. The antibody levels in the control group did not increase. Both vaccines induced an increased neutralization of the variant and other viral strains, similar to response after the third dose. The authors found that the fourth dose did not lead to substantial adverse effects, despite triggering the systemic and local symptoms that you've seen with the first 3 jabs. Now, what about infection rates? Overall infection rates, and remember, this is just getting infected. It's not the serious COVID storm, ending up in the ICU, that sort of thing. The infection rates were 25% in the control group, 18.3% in the Pfizer group, and 20% in the Moderna group. So you did see it was a significant but slight decrease in infection rate. Now, vaccine efficacy against SARS-CoV-2 infection was 30% for Pfizer and 11% for Moderna. That's just the numbers that we just quoted. How much better is it? The vaccine efficacy was estimated to be higher for the prevention of symptomatic disease. And that's the way this has been from day one. Now, the efficacy was for serious disease was estimated at that point in time to be 43% for Pfizer and 31% for Moderna. When you go back and you look at these lines, these are the lines that we're talking about. Now, you also have to remember that these are in people that have had 3 doses of vaccine already. The comparison group are not people who've had 1 jab, and it's not people that have had 2 jabs. The comparison group was all people that have had 3 jabs already. So even though you're getting what appears to be a significant decrease, again, it's a relatively small amount of people. And as you can see here, these are the actual numbers and the days since receiving the vaccine. The difference was not striking, but it was clearly there. Some other limitations. This was a non-randomized study. There was a 1-week difference between enrollment. Not 100% sure all cases were caused by Omicron. Sometimes there's a challenge in terms of diagnosing it. The other thing was the numbers. It was not like we have tens of thousands of people in this cohort. The fourth jab is safe and somewhat efficacious, primarily against symptomatic disease. Results suggest that maximum efficacy is reached after the third dose, and antibody levels can be restored by a fourth dose. Older and vulnerable populations were not assessed in that trial. So that's another maybe one of the biggest concerns about that trial. Many of you will ask, well, what is the CDC saying about this? They're not giving as strong a recommendation as they have for the first 3 jabs. The 4th jab is recommended at the 4th month after the 3rd jab. 65 and older, they recommended it for. 50 and older, any source of immunocompromise. Well, what does that mean? And it really doesn't say. For most of the viewers of this channel, here's the question. If I'm between 50 and 65 and I have known diabetes or even prediabetes, is that enough of an immunocompromise, what the CDC is terming immunocompromise, or a comorbidity that obesity, we know that's a comorbidity for this, and hypertension, all of which are related. At what point do you say, I've got enough risk, I really need that 4th jab, it's not just optional for me? Now, here's one thing they did say. They authorized it as safe for everybody above age 50. So again, this may frustrate some people because I'm just giving you the facts. And unfortunately, a whole lot of the facts are not there. A lot of folks are going to say, well, doc, just tell me what to do. Well, like I said, here's what I'll do. I'll tell you what I know about the evidence. I'll include as much detail as possible so you can make your own choices. And I will tell you what I'm going to do. But here's what I won't do. I won't tell you what to do, and I won't make choices for you.